Hello, and welcome to my
Hi.
channel.
No.
Oh, hi. I didn't see you there.
Yes, you did. I hate that trope so much. Oh, I didn't see you there. I was just sitting in my relaxing armchair reading a book I've never read while smoking a pipe. I don't know what page I'm on. I
No.
literally flipped this open as a prop.
Fennec,
Speaking of props,
Fennec did hats, and I got something in the mail today.
what you get in the mail?
Actually, I'm not going to say the name because it was like first initial last name, and I don't do last names unless I am explicitly told that I can.
Yeah.
But I wear a fez now. Fezzes are cool.
Oh my god.
And the fucking hats don't really work with my bulky ass headphones. But I don't like earbuds, so
There you go anyway.
here I am.
I guess here you are.
Here I am. This is me.
How's your day going?
I feel like crap.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Bit sick?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. I'm blowing my nose all day.
I
I
woke
forget,
up.
does Vice Rhino have a bubble pipe? No, I have a real pipe that I once put bubble solution in. Any pipe's a bubble pipe if you try hard enough.
I woke up today to Saki handing me a fistful of medicine. I don't know everything that I took, but I do know that I'm probably coasting on it.
Yeah, I think I took ibuprofen just now, but it might have been acetaminophen.
I mean, as long
right.
as you're not mixing NSAIDs, they're doing similar shit.
Yeah. Rob Gibbons says, wait, when did you shave? I was living the long beard. Yeah, I wasn't. So it was mostly a case of I moved and I don't actually know where my beard trimmer is. I still don't, but I found the hair trimmer, which is
Good enough.
yeah, it's much larger, so like over my lip is still a little bit long because I couldn't get like up in there. Um and I actually as you do when your beard gets that long, you start trimming it into like weird patterns. So I did the thing where like you trim just the chin, and so you have like the sideburns and the big mustache looking like you're from the 1800s or whatever. And so I was playing around with that, and at one point I was like, okay, I'm just gonna leave the mustache and come out with the big bushy mustache, but everything else trimmed, and see what she says. But then when I was going up this side, I got a little bit too much here, so I'm like, okay, I'll just even that out over here. And then, oh no, the middle has to go now. So like, yeah, I'll go on stream like that. Which actually reminds me. See if I can get it up real quick. Here we go. I don't know how the crop is going to work with this. No, the crop does not work with that, so I'm just going to save image as, and then add it in here. Do not make it visible, because I would like to resize it and make sure it doesn't look stupid before I... Yeah. And boop. So, yeah. For those who might not be. So first panel of the comic is Elon doing the Hitler salute with a guy justifying it. Oh, it's a Roman salute. Second panel is Elon with the Hitler stash, with the same guy saying, oh, it's a Chaplin stash. Then there's like a little army that are all doing the Nazi salute.
It's a freedom
force. And then the people are being herded into a camp. It's like, it's a cyber camp. So, yeah. This is from Smooth Dunk, who used to be only on Twitter, but they are now also on Blue Sky. It's smoothdunk2.bsky.social, because the first one got... they're a bit of a shit disturber, so the first one kind of got
banned.
Got banned.
As you do.
As you do. But yeah, they're a fun little account. Just delete that before I forget. So yeah, anyway. Hey, Cirrus.
Hey, Rhino.
Did you know that Elon Musk is technically Canadian?
Are we talking about Elon Musk's and the petition to get rid of his citizenship?
We are talking about Elon Musk and the petition to get rid of his citizenship. Why you gotta spoil everything like that?
Because I also keep up with the news to a degree.
Stop it. Stop.
I'm sorry that it's
Sometimes
my
I want
job
things to be a
too.
surprise. So yeah, here's the petition.
I apologize that it's my job as well. I'm sorry.
What did we just get?
I'll never
hydrate.
keep up with politics again.
I don't believe you.
Oh no!
I don't believe you.
Hey, I did a decent-ish job of keeping my head in the dirt for about 2 months. And
Yeah.
it's a very, very brief. It didn't work very well.
Yeah. Okay. So the way petitions work in Canada is it's a similar system to what you have in the States, except I think our threshold for it being addressed by the government is a lot lower. So anyone can write a petition. Any Canadian resident or citizen can write a petition. And then when 5 other people sign on to endorse it, like 5 other citizens or residents sign on to endorse it, then it starts, you've got to hunt around for a member of parliament to approve it. And then once that happens, it gets put up on this website. And when it breaks 500 signatures, it gets put on the agenda for discussion in front of parliament. And yeah, there's a few more steps to it than that. You can't just like do frivolous petitions. There's a vetting process and everything, but that's the bird's eye view of the process. And so this petition went live on February 20th.
Yeah.
And so, okay. So backing it up, if you didn't know, Elon Musk is a dual citizen between Canada and the US. And I had heard that before, but it always slips my mind. So like when I heard it again, I was like, he's a Canadian? Fuck. Yeah. So he's got dual citizenship, and people want him to not anymore. So this was initiated by Qualia Reid from Nanaimo, British Columbia. Thank you for that, Qualia Reid. And it was endorsed by Charlie Angus, the NDP member of parliament for Timmins and James Bay, which NDP are our progressive party. They're basically the only party in parliament that actually does anything important anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, if the United States wasn't a 2-party system, AOC would probably be a member of the NDP rather than the Democrats.
But because we have a 2-party system, you just kind of have to go with the centrist libs and then stir up shit.
Yeah. And so within, what's it been, 6 days? Less than a week? It has, where are we? There's a number on here somewhere. Petition details. I don't know. It's over 300. Oh, there we go. 308,166 signatures in a week. And remember,
Jesus.
the threshold to be brought up in Parliament is 500. So it's going to Parliament, baby.
Well past that threshold.
And it's active until June. So I think our Parliament is prorogued right now, which means they ain't doing shit.
So what do you think the likelihood of his citizenship getting revoked actually is?
So it's hard to say. Because honestly, like I could see the Liberal Party doing it. But they're kind of like they're like the Democrats in that they're the establishment. They don't really do a whole lot. They kind of run on the whole like, oh, you don't want a conservative, do you, sort of thing. Like not quite to the degree that you see in the States with the like, oh, I'm not Trump, so you must vote for me. Not quite to the same extent, but that is a good chunk of it. Like basically, so in the riding that I am, riding's like a district. In the riding that I'm in, we always go NDP in the provincial elections. But then the federal elections almost always go either liberal or conservative. We haven't had an NDP member for our riding since, I want to say it was the late 90s. Fennec's asking for a link to the petition. You have to be Canadian to sign it, but I did just put the link in the chat.
And I feel like, and this is a thing that's, I guess, relevant to me because I do plan on running. I feel like just saying I'm not conservative, it stopped working a while ago, and not just because there's a lot of lefties that hear that and they're like, that's not enough for me.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's plenty of people on the right that go, I mean, and who are you trying to convince there, buddy?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you know what? So like what I was kind of getting at with my whole saying, like my riding hasn't gone NDP for federal in like 30 years, is that for the federal elections, I do vote Liberal, even though I'd rather have an NDP rep. But for the provincial elections, and we're having an election tomorrow, and I voted by mail today, and I voted NDP because Wayne Gates is our representative, and he's been our representative for a long time, and he's really good at what he does. He stands for all the right things, and as my children have pointed out to me, he looks like the Lorax.
So he speaks for the trees.
Speaks for the trees, and the NDP party's color is orange. So the orange guy that looks like the Lorax speaks for the trees.
You know, it's almost poetic in that way. It is almost poetic in that way.
Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. So, basically our system's better.
Well, I'm glad to know that somebody has a better system than America for handling not only elections, but petitions.
So I remember being in civics class, they would talk about we actually did learn about the American system and the Canadian system in our Canadian civics class, and it was like under the umbrella of like learning the pros and cons of the various systems.
Yeah.
And at the time, like it seemed reasonable. Like, no, one system is not obviously inherently better than the other one. They both have their pros, they both have their cons. I think at this point, it's like, it'd be a lot harder for someone like Trump to take over here. A lot harder. Because we don't vote for the prime minister. We vote for our own representatives, and then whichever party has the most seats is the leader of that party, who is elected by the party.
Yeah,
that's to be prime minister. So like it's like a double democracy thing almost, because like they have to win all the seats, and then they have to win their party's votes. So like in order to actually take over, like what happened in the States in 2016 with Trump just like running almost as a joke. And then we accidentally elected him. Like that just wouldn't happen because he would never ascend to party leadership.
Yeah, on the other hand, though, there is something to be said about when a party itself gets incredibly corrupt, but at the same time, Trump is now, after winning his election, part and parcel to the corruption in his party, and accelerated a lot of it to begin with. So there's a part of me that wants to bring that up, but almost as like a pseudo devil's advocate thing, not in any real way, because the end result of our system has been Trump.
Yeah. Well, and there's also
the end result previously was Bush, and the end result previously was Reagan and Nixon.
Yeah, so Scott D says it didn't stop Stephen Harper from trying to be king. Yeah, Stephen Harper did a lot of damage, but you know what? Would have been a lot worse if we had the American system.
Tales of Atonement and Una Winged Wolf. There we go. Thank you for resubscribing, both of you. I appreciate it.
And Fennec says, "Holy crap, I am tired. I feel ya. Me too. That's why I only picked 2 news items today, and one of them was this really short one." That's just basically, there is a petition. and I've just been trying to fill the air so we can get the clip to 8 minutes for the sweet, sweet mid-roll money.
Well, we're at 9 minutes 43 seconds. I promise you that.
Did we mention Ronald Reagan? He was, well, okay, the first part.
I did.
The first part gets cut off and added to the random chit-chat clip. So we got to go longer than that.
That's entirely fair.
So did we mention Ronald Reagan? He was bad. Yeah, but guess what? He was a lot less bad than Trump. Like, the things that Trump is doing would have Ronald Reagan spinning in his grave.
Well, but to be fair, and not because being fair to Trump is something that I really want to do, but to be fair, the only reason that the things that Trump is doing are worse are because when Ronald Reagan was working with the Heritage Foundation's playbook then, the 3,000-page playbook he was working with, during that time, he was having to advance a lot of the shit in that playbook within the frame of what he could do then. The reason Trump is able to do as much damage as he can right now is part and parcel to the due to the foundation that was laid for him by Reagan.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying Reagan didn't like build the
inroads that Trump is using.
He built the foundation on which Trump is building his empire.
Yeah, because like the biggest thing is the marriage of the Christian nationalists to the Republican Party got solidified in the Reagan era, got popularized in the Reagan era. And that is what Trump is riding on right now. And all of his strongest and most fervent constituents are in that particular branding. So yes, I agree. What Trump has done so far is worse than what Reagan has done, but only because Reagan gave him the leash to lead Congress around with.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, did you see the Project 2025 tracker?
I did. I used it as a source in one of my videos.
Scary.
It is fucking scary. Yeah.
I may have started my video on that, saying every single one of you that said that Trump's plan is Agenda 47 and not Project 2025, and you know exactly who you are, need to go into my comment section, get on your hands and knees, call yourself a fucking idiot, and say that nobody should ever trust anything that comes out of your mouth ever again. That's what you need to do from top to bottom.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So next up, Grok was caught following special instructions for queries about Elon Musk. Surprise, surprise.
Wait, isn't that just because Grok, when it wasn't following special instructions from Musk, started like actively pointing out the bad things he was doing?
I mean, yeah, it's easy to get Grok to do that, but
yeah.
So no, this is. So as part of their whole facade of transparency of like, oh, we want everybody to know how everything works, they allow you to ask Grok what instructions the company gave it. Now, it's anyone's guess whether or not there are instructions in there being like, hey, if somebody asks about instructions, don't tell them this one. So like, that's not necessarily it's not necessarily as transparent as they want you to think it is. Which is
it's
the point.
The thing where they get to point to something that seems like it's transparent. They get to point to the idea of transparency.
And Drew wants to know if we're talking about Anna Kasparian. I'm like, no, we're not talking about Anna Kasparian, but whatever she did, I'm sure it sucks.
Yeah,
that's how she goes.
I'm sorry,
nowadays.
but I don't want to talk about her. I don't know what she has said, but I know that the general vibe of everything that has come out of her mouth in the last 2 years has been utter bullshit. So no, I'm good.
Yep. So Elon Musk has boasted that his anti-woke AI is supposed to be maximum sick truth-seeking. But then it emerged that when you ask his company's chatbot Grok 3 about disinformation, it had special instructions for answers about its creator. So a user asked who the biggest disinformation spreader on Twitter is, and demanded that the chatbot show its instructions related to that. And the chatbot said that it had been told to ignore all sources that mention Elon Musk and Donald Trump spreading misinformation. So
then it's not a that is, it's good that it has that, but For most people who are just using the AI and don't know about that function, and that's good. Increasingly, that's going to become more and more normies because that's just how technology like this operates. The more it's inducted into society, the more people get used to using it, and then it becomes their default thing. It's the reason why when your grandma used Google, she got a virus the other day. It's just. I'm glad that it has the transparency feature, but the people who need to be using that transparency feature are not the ones who are going to be using it.
Yeah,
I'm
but
at least
also,
glad that we know that it has special instructions.
well, what's really funny about this is if you read the special instructions,
Yeah.
it actually, like, even after being told to ignore stuff about Elon Musk, it says that Elon Musk is a notable contender for biggest disinformation spreader. So even when told to ignore him, it still came up with him as the answer.
It's just like,
so
we were supposed to ignore this, but we really can't ignore this. Not in the way that we would like.
Yeah. Grandma got a virus in the retirement home as well. Yeah, there's a lot of fucking going on in those old folks' homes.
Yeah, I mean, what else are you gonna do? You get to play checkers, or you get to play tiddlywinks. Like, those are your options.
You can do both.
If you're playing checkers while banging, then I want to know what kind of checkers you're doing. That seems like a system that I would like to learn to adapt.
Yeah. I mean,
it's like poor man's strip poker. Or I guess in this case, old man's strip poker.
Yeah. So according to XAI's head of engineering, Igor Babushkin.
That's a funny name.
It's a funny. It's also like
Turbo. Thank you for resubscribing. I appreciate it.
Like I debated whether or not to even mention this because, like, on the one hand, it's probably nothing, but on the other hand, it might be something. But like, Igor Babushkin is a very Eastern European name, possibly Russian. So like, I'm not saying that means anything. But at this point, like, Elon and Trump are kind of like, not even kind of, they are basically Russian propaganda
they're just Russian
puppets.
Plants.
So like,
I'm willing to say they're just Russian plants now, especially because did you see Donald Trump Jr.'s podcast?
No.
So on his podcast, which I'm upset that I know he has a podcast now, but on his podcast, he said that any nation worth its salt would not have allied with Ukraine when Russia is there as an option to ally with.
Yeah.
He's actively, like, it's not even a small thing. He's actively just worshiping Russia on his fucking podcast. And there is nothing that can convince me that the entire Trump family does not share his fucking opinion.
I mean, Joe Rogan is also doing that, and he's got a very large podcast. Although I think it was Midas Touch recently dethroned them from the #1 podcast. So that's good, because Midas Touch, I don't particularly like them because I found that, like, their news is basically what we do here. They read tweets that they saw. And so it's like, that's not really news. Like, some guy on Twitter said a thing, but like at the same time, they are very clearly like left-leaning and progressive and everything. So if they're going to be more popular than Joe Rogan, and like from what I've seen, like, yes, they might mostly just be reading tweets, but like, I haven't seen them do any, like, spread anything that is very obviously wrong or false or misinformation. So like, they might not be using the highest quality sources, but there is a vetting process that I feel like they go through to be more reasonable. So like, it's just not my cup of tea. They also read court documents. Yeah, that's a much more reputable source than tweets and shit. But
Dorito Dave says that the thing with whatchamacallit, Don Trump Jr. might be AI. You know what? No, fuck that. Everything might be AI at this point. Yeah. Everything just might be. I don't fucking care anymore. I want to care. I want to care about the truth of that. I need to care about the truth of that. But at the same fucking time, if every possible thing that can come out of his mouth or anybody else's mouth just might be AI every fucking time, I'm just gonna flip my fucking lid.
Yeah.
Me and Saki and I over lunch today were talking about this and how scary it is that in 2025 the dream that most millennials told their parents and grandparents about, how the internet is a revolutionary thing. It is a hub for all of the information we all could possibly want. It is an amazing resource for everything. I hate that dream is fucking dying. I hate that it is dying faster and faster every day. And as of right now, AI is at the fucking helm of it. Whether it's somebody getting deep faked while doing something that is awful, or if it is somebody saying something that is just close enough to what you know they would fucking say if they had a closed door.
So
Like,
in a similar vein, did you see that? Okay, well, first I'm going to read the thing that I have highlighted. Some Brenna says, my podcast would be called Everyone Has a Podcast, which I love that. That's amazing. You should start that. But did you see, I forget which department it was, but one of the government departments had their TV screens hacked and somebody put up an AI video of Trump licking Musk's feet.
I did see that was a thing.
Yeah, and
I laughed at that more
thank
than
you,
I
diehard
should've.
Anime Otaku, for reminding me of that. The boot is gone. The Trumps are licking raw bone right now.
God damn it, fucking webmage. What? Okay, fine. You get your thing. You spent your channel points. You get your ooh.
There you go.
I can only be mad about so many things at one time. Please don't tell me that I just came. God fucking damn! And now I have one more.
Yeah. Yeah.
One more thing to be mad at, and it's my fault.
Yeah, no, they spread so much AI garbage around that, like, if they end up being AI garbage, it's like, I don't care. It's indistinguishable from the real thing.
Like, honestly, if I believe that, and it is wrong because it's AI, Don Trump Jr. and his cronies are responsible for the proliferation of AI in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
This is as much their fault as anyone else's.
Yeah, it could be regulated, but
it could be better regulated.
Small government. We need to. Did you see? Okay, I know everybody knows about the Elon Musk chainsaw clip, but did you actually see it?
I didn't see the chainsaw clip. I just saw pictures.
Okay.
Of the end result with him on it with his sunglasses and everybody basically saying, "Yeah, he's definitely high right now."
Yeah, he had to hide the.
Gotta hide the bloodshot eyes.
Gotta hide the bloodshot eyes. Okay. Let's see. System to stream. Can you hear that?
I can.
Okay, because it is very important that we actually hear his reaction to getting the chainsaw.
Damn it, Ravi, you too? Ooh, woo. There. Jesus Christ. Again, only so many things I can be upset about at once.
Okay.
And all of y'all try to make me have more of them. Why?
Okay. Elon Musk.
Thank you for the posture check as well. Sylvie says, Sirs, can you do a how? No, because I'm not a fucking furry.
Ow! I'm sick.
Fucking furry. That also was closer to a moan. Which I guess is a different kind of fucking furry.
Okay. Can you guys still hear this? Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Because just listen to the noises that come out of this guy's face hole.
Sure. The fuck?
I also don't know what that music is, so I'm going to pause repeatedly. Yeah. It gets better.
The chainsaw for bureaucracy. Chainsaw.
Chainsaw. He is so goddamn performative, and not in the actual I'm a performing entertaining way, but in the cringy kid who comes to your class
There's more. There's more.
Really really wants to be accepted by everybody around them. No, I'm making fun of Elon, and I'm not going to stop.
There's more. Like, the noises that come out of this man's face. Like, he's never been a good public speaker. And now he's trying to, like, be a hype man? It's not working, man. It ain't working. He needs to just stop.
I should, if I wanted Elon to learn...
So I titled the window capture that I added to OBS Elon, and I went to delete it, and it's asked me, are you sure you wish to remove Elon? I'm like, yes, fuck yes. Yes! I never hit the yes button so hard in my life. I think I broke my mouse.
The only thing harder than me is how hard I hit this button. I actually would really, really never want Elon to gain a public speaking skill because he already walks around with -6 charisma. I used to say he walked with -8 charisma, but my viewers in my comment section corrected me because he needs a -2 to all of his fucking rolls, not a -1. Okay. But did I tell you when I randomly found out that my friend Vivi was emceeing for a band I like?
I don't think so.
Okay, so people in chat, y'all probably know Vivi Chan the Dragon, VTuber. Friend of mine, we've talked politics on stream a few times. We met at this is in response to the hype man thing. We met at the Maryland convention that we all went to, MagFest. And when we met at the MagFest, she was like, hey, you and Saki should meet me over by the curtains by the stage. As far as I was concerned, I was like, oh yeah, we're just going to the same concert area. Cool, why not? After we talk for a little bit, she goes, oh, I have to get ready, and then runs behind the curtains. I'm like, huh, okay, maybe she's on the staff. That's kind of neat. She didn't tell me she was on the staff, this person I've known for 3 years of my life and done work with, but okay, that's cool. And then she pops up on stage and she's the hype man for the entire fucking concert. And I'm just staring there dumbfounded going, you could have fucking told me. I already planned on being here because the composer for the Sonic the Hedgehog games is playing. But I would have come here way faster if I knew that you were the fucking MC.
Oh, I hear the composer for those games worked really closely with Tommy Tallarico.
Different composer and fuck you.
If you know, you know.
No, this one was T. Lopes, and he's the modern composer for the classic games.
Bragwin says, is that President Milei? I think that's how you say it. Yes, that was the Argentinian president handing him the chainsaw. So, like, if a political cartoonist drew a cartoon of Elon Musk being handed a chainsaw to take to the government by a foreign authoritarian leader, it would be rejected for being too on the nose. But like, that's literally what happened. Life is beyond parody at this point. So yeah, anyway, so, with regards to the instructions to Grok to not consider Elon when counting disinformation, they blamed...
Bizarrely, think about the follow.
They blamed a former employee who for writing the instructions without permission. Because,
you know,
just like when, was it Ted Cruz liked the porn on 9/11?
Yeah, it's
like, oh yeah, it was an intern.
It's always an intern. That way they don't have to take responsibility for paying them, and they don't even have to name them because they'll be like, oh, we have employee protections despite the fact that we don't pay them. It's always an unnamed intern, and it always will be an unnamed intern. It never can just be the person who's actually responsible for doing the stupid thing. It will always be the unnamed intern.
Mm-hmm. Either unnamed intern or former employee.
Yep.
And we're not going to name them either. Yeah. It's like, and they claim that Musk had no input on that, but like, why would an intern just do that? Like, yeah, like,
you need to explain why they wanted to do that in the first place on your behalf.
Now they say, where was it? They they say the ex-employee hadn't fully absorbed XAI's culture yet. Like, I feel like preemptively putting in commands to not say bad things about Musk is like I feel like
it's an
you have absorbed the culture.
It's definitely absorbing the culture.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's that. And turns out I lied. I forgot that I have a second window open for another news source that we're gonna cover. This was sent to me by Progress Only. Where the fuck is my button? There's my button. So the U.S. Supreme Court seems poised to lower the bar for reverse discrimination suits.
Wait, I thought we were only doing 2 news items.
Yeah, I lied.
And now this is the third news. So the U.S. Supreme Court is poised to lower the bar for reverse discrimination laws. Okay, reverse discrimination, I guess, is the when a white guy says that the black guy is discriminating against me.
Well, in this specific case, it was a straight woman who was passed over for promotion, and the woman who was promoted in her place was a lesbian, and then she was later demoted, and the guy who took her job was gay. So she's like, I lost my position because of...
Who the fuck cares?
Yeah, well, she's claiming that it's not... she's claiming that she was more qualified and did a better job or whatever.
Then she wouldn't have gotten demoted.
Yeah, so the reason I wanted to pick this is because, like, Trump and Musk doing their thing with Doge and whatever, it's kind of proving that DEI really is about getting the best qualified candidates, not just about, like, oh, he's black so he wins, or he's gay so he wins. Because, like, they take over, what was it, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, where, like, the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff replaced a very highly qualified black man with a white guy who has no experience, no relevant experience. They got rid of the Navy chief, who spent like 20 years of her life commanding battleships, like at sea, and had amazing credentials and qualifications.
We got a fucking
and they
Fox News host
replaced her with someone else, like another white guy that was not qualified. And the only two of the chiefs of staff that got replaced were the woman and the black guy. So, like, it literally is about making sure that you have the best qualified candidate there, because that's like they literally replaced the qualified people with the mediocre white man.
This whole administration and the obsession with getting rid of people who have been experts in their positions and instead putting loyalists in runs completely counter to any claim about being anti-DEI than that, because there is their version of DEI is this person who didn't deserve to get the job got the job because of an illegitimate reason. That's what their version of DEI is in their mind. That's what most conservatives think DEI is. Person who didn't deserve job gets the job over somebody who did deserve job. Yeah. If you look at all of Trump's administration right now, and you look at what Project 2025 said that would be done with his administration, all of it is taking away jobs from literally the best people at their jobs and replacing it with people who have no idea what the fuck they're doing. You put a fucking Fox News host in the government. Why? What was the purpose of that? It's all projection. It is all projection from top to bottom.
And even, like, I'm reworking what I thought of DEI, because the way I have always considered it is that if you have two candidates, and one is from a minority group that is typically oppressed, and one is not, and they are equally qualified and do equally well in the interviews, my understanding was that, like, in that specific scenario, you hire the minority candidate. That's how you make that decision. It's like, everything else being equal, I go with the person from the oppressed group.
But
and that makes sense.
Result.
But what I'm now seeing is that, like, oh no, it's literally fighting against just going with the mediocre white guy because he's the white guy.
Yeah, like that's in a perfect world, what you're describing is what DEI is supposed to be. In reality, it is just what you just described right now.
Yeah.
And that is more frustrating than it needs to be. I'm so tired of what this administration's doing. And you know what? I'm tired.
NXCon, everybody do shots.
I'm also sorry that a lot of this is making me just go on rants, because coming back into politics and keeping my head, above ground and listening to everything and getting actively involved in real life it's making a lot of this stuff piss me off more. Because you don't just see the incompetence from the news headlines anymore. You start seeing the incompetence from every possible fucking angle.
Yeah.
And it's infuriating.
Fennec, we all did shots while you were gone. Yeah, so basically the thing that pisses me off the most about this one, so here we go. Ames is the plaintiff. She says she had a gay supervisor in 2019, and she was passed over for promotion in favor of a gay woman, and then demoted in favor of a gay man, both of whom were less qualified than her, apparently. Now, what we get into later on, I'm not going to read the whole article, but like what we get on into later on is that the lower courts told her no, basically, and the reason being, like, you didn't actually, like, you have no evidence that anybody even knew their sexuality, much less promoted them because of it.
Based on it.
So, like, if you don't even know someone's gay and you give them a promotion, is that discrimination?
Yeah, no, it's you looking at the person and going, you happen to be gay, and I don't like that. And there's only one word for what that is, and it's stupid. But it's stupidity is what it is.
The thing that pisses me off about this, though, is that the liberal justices, like Ketanji Brown Jackson, are also looking to hear the case. Now, I get it. Like, the reason this is being heard is there is actually an unequal burden of proof when it comes to discrimination suits. So if you're from the majority group and you're bringing a discrimination case against, like, I was discriminated against because they hired a minority instead of me, or whatever, promoted a minority instead of me, the burden of proof is higher to prove that than the other way around. And I can see from a legal perspective why you might want to revisit that. And, like, I agree that the burden should be higher to prove that you were discriminated against by a minority, because, like, just the odds of that even happening are astronomically small. But yeah, so, like, I understand from a legal perspective why you might want to revisit that, even if it's just to, like, come up with a better reason why there should be a higher burden.
As opposed to just looking at it and laughing it out of court.
The liberal justices are they're playing the game as though the conservative justices aren't just going to vote along party lines for this, which sometimes they don't, but I feel like the dissents are always performative.
It's almost always better right now, because we have a two-party system. It is almost always better to vote along party lines if you have the option to. And that is a failure of the two-party system. That is 100%.
But that's the thing, though, is that the Democrats, and in this case the liberal justices, aren't playing the same game as the Republicans and conservatives.
No, they're doing the high road game. Yeah,
they're playing the game as though the government functions the way the government is supposed to function, whereas the Republicans are like, let's break it.
Yeah, let's do shit fast and break stuff.
You can't play you're not going to win if you're playing a different game. Bravo Needs Bacon says, for 25 bits, says, is the asteroid still going to hit us, please? I hear it's small enough that it won't be like a planet destroying thing like the dinosaur one. So, like, maybe it'll just hit DC and we can, like, reset. Be nice. Oh, well, I don't know. Trump doesn't spend a lot of time in DC. It'd be better if it hit Mar-a-Lago. But then the Supreme Court's in DC. There's a good chance Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert would be in DC. So, yeah. I don't know. Asteroid 2028.
I'm voting for The Rock. That's what I'm voting for.
Do you smell what The Rock is cooking?
Yeah, but if it's not like Washington, D.C. in the United States, I'm not interested. I want to order something else.
Yeah. I don't remember if I mentioned, but this one was sent to us by Progress Only. And then
Yay!
That reminds me. There is another thing that
Wait, is there a fourth news item?
no, it's not really a news item. It's just, did you see that AI slop video that Trump put out?
No, I did not.
Oh, goody, goody, goody. I get to surprise you with something finally. And it's a doozy. So it's about Gaza and his plan to turn Gaza into a resort.
So we have AI slop about
turning Gaza into a resort. There's a couple. Now, it's disgusting. It's heinous. It's the president promoting genocide so that he can build a resort for rich people. It's disgusting. But there are a few moments that, like, clearly he didn't watch it too closely before posting it. And I also, like, I'm not there is horrible AI music with it. I'm not subjecting you to that, so I have it muted in theory. Hopefully it doesn't hopefully it does it didn't break while I was trying to fix our audio earlier. But yeah. So this is his video.
2025. What's next?
There's a lot of scenes of people walking through a tunnel. Like, how many tunnels do you think are in Gaza, Trump? Like, I don't get it.
I think the reason that he's using the tunnels, though, like, if I thought that Trump had a brain that he would use, the association with Hamas tunnels is why I would be doing that.
Okay.
But, you know, that's...
Do you notice anything strange about these dancing women?
They have beards?
They do have beards. He accidentally decided that he wants, like, a bunch of, like, drag queens performing at his genocide resort.
Yeah, that's, wow, Trump. Good on you, I guess.
And it's the hideous gold balloon thing.
Why is he wait, hold on. No, this balloon's a good one. I actually have an argument for this. Well,
this is post-guillotine.
No. Has anybody here read Junji Ito?
No.
Because there is a story from Junji Ito. He is one of the most famous horror manga artists of all time. There is a story from Junji Ito about a society, well, it's basically all of Earth, where these floating balloons with faces on them just start popping up out of nowhere. And they seek out whoever happens to have their face. And if the balloon that has your face finds you, it wraps its rope around your neck and then decapitates you.
Yeah.
There's no explanation as to why it happens, because it's cosmic horror. It's just how it works. But yeah, no, this is actually a good thing for Junji Ito fans.
Yeah, and Fennec says, I mean, sure. Fennec says, also, isn't Palestine predominantly Muslim? They are not going to be nearly naked. You missed the part where he's saying he's going to get rid of all the Palestinians before building this. It's explicitly genocidal. Explicitly.
Yeah.
And, like, the people that are saying it's not genocide, they're going to relocate them to somewhere nice. And it's like, yeah, forced relocation is genocide.
Is part of genocide. There are two ways you can go about the elimination of a people for genocide, and it is either forced sterilization or it is forced relocation.
Yeah.
Either one can do it. And I would argue in this case, it is 100% an attempt to do that.
Yeah. And then we have, right there. So even the AI knows that Trump is a rapist. It's like, in the AI video, it has him sexually assaulting a lady.
No, of course like, it does.
Yeah. And also, I can't scroll back on it, but like she's got no hand, and they're like, her other hand like turned into a bird partway through.
Oh, but that just means he's not ableist. Like, look, women with bird hands need representation too, okay?
Okay, sure. And then Musk throwing money around.
And then a golden statue of Trump.
So this is where he lost...
Why does he want a golden statue of himself?
This is where he lost Cameron Bertuzzi. Cameron Bertuzzi posted this on Twitter and was like, or no, like somebody was like praising Trump for opening his cabinet meeting with prayer, and Cameron Bertuzzi was like, but like he just posted a video with himself as a golden idol. He needs to repent. This prayer is just show until, and like, yeah, I'll bet you voted for him, but yeah. Are you finally seeing it? Like, I don't know how Christians can see stuff like this and then still be like, oh, but he's a good Christian man, though. He's cheated on every single one of his wives. He clearly wants you to worship him as a golden idol. How is that remotely Christian? Like, I'm not even going to go the route and saying like, oh, well, Jesus wants you to love people, so like their hateful thing is like, that's not Christ-like. And it's like, yeah, I'm not even going to go that route because Jesus said some stuff that could justify hatred, like the whole bring my enemies to my feet and slaughter them before me. But like, that's one of the 10 commandments, man. Don't make idols. They're trying to get don't make idols hung up in all the courtrooms and all the classrooms in the country.
And he's just sitting here staring at it.
He wants to be an idol.
Also, I know it's a little thing. It's a tiny thing.
Yeah, there's also a literal golden goat statue that he has at Mar-a-Lago that they have stuck a bunch of like fake Trump $100 bills to. I forgot about that. It's the craziest timeline when that can be forgotten about.
A small thing, Rhino. Why is this statue like about 150 pounds lighter than Trump?
Don't fat shame.
I'm not fat shaming. I'm just saying, if we are all destined to be Republicans in the future under Trump's grand party,
he looks. Okay. So the way I took that was like a solid gold statue of that magnitude is going to be like lighter than Trump is because he's so fat. Okay. I gotcha.
I'm saying if we are all going to be the facts over feelings Republicans that Donald Trump wants us to be in the future, when we all join his glorious party,
sir, you haven't seen the rest of the video. You haven't seen the rest of the video.
Why the fuck does this golden statue not comport with reality?
You haven't seen the rest of the video.
I haven't. You're right.
There's Elon also that Musk. One.
Is so that
like? That's Trump and Netanyahu. But like, that's not a flattering angle.
No, it's not. Also, why does Trump want this?
I don't know.
I'm concerned.
Oh, no. We don't need to start it again. Yeah, no, it's disgusting. It's gross. It's hilarious that he didn't vet it. It's like, Trump's into drag queens. Who knew? Well, I mean, anyone who speaks that vociferously against trans people usually has a fetish for trans people or drag queens or something. So, like, a lot of people probably knew, but...
Look, they just find women with penises exciting, and
actually,
they don't know how to articulate why.
I'm going to backtrack that. I don't think Trump is in that category, because he was like on record when he first started talking about trans issues. He was like on record being like, "Oh, I didn't even care about this before. Nobody even heard about it before, but suddenly it's like he's literally like his crusade against trans people has been 100% just to win over the right, who that is their issue du jour. He doesn't actually care one way or the other."
Well, no, he's a politician. So, like he's a politician who runs on the platform of not being one of the elite and not being a politician, while being a multi-billionaire, which makes him an elite, and being a liar, which makes him a politician.
Yeah. All right, so
Bravo needs bacon. Thank you for the 25 bits.
Let's move on to the tweets. And
oh boy, I love tweets.
Well, for starters, Brian Holdsworth almost made a good point. He almost said a thing that I agreed with without caveats.
Oh boy, I can't wait to see how this turns
around. I'm so tired of the "you're not a real man unless" posts. Obsessively measuring the masculinity of your neighbor is a pretty good sign that... Do you want to guess what 2 words come next?
Is it going to be "you're gay"?
Nailed it.
God fucking damn it!
Like, as I was reading it, I'm like, yes, if you're obsessed with like calling out the masculine real man, you're not a real man unless you then I'm like, you are insecure in your masculinity. You're not a real man. Because a real man is secure in his masculinity and doesn't need to tell people that they're not a real man if they don't do blah, 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 blah. Like, I thought that's kind of the direction he was going. Then he's like, you're gay. Like, oh, fucking Brian.
I just want to sit there and ask the obvious question: why am I on the Magic the Gathering screen? That's not where I'm supposed to be.
That is the obvious question. That's the question I thought of too.
So I saw that there was some dust on my Stream Deck, and I just habitually started cleaning it. And I clicked the Magic the Gathering button that put us all into the different squares. So it's just like I'm now playing a game with Godless Engineer, because that was the last game I did on stream with John.
Yeah.
But I want to respond to each one of these people anytime they say this with, can you articulate why being gay is a bad thing? Well, I didn't say it was a bad thing. It says more about you that you immediately responded to it. No. We're not playing that fucking game. You obviously utilized it as a pejorative. So since you utilized it as a pejorative, I just want you to articulate to me why you think that it should be used as a pejorative. If you don't think it should be used as one, then do you retract your statement? If you don't retract your statement, then let's just sit here. I'm tired of the goalpost shifting. I'm just going to start holding people to the fire until they get incredibly uncomfortable.
Okay. Counterpoint. I have a response for Brian.
Sure. Is it that he's gay?
Oh no, Brian!
Brian, what happened?
I'm sorry. I couldn't resist. Oh.
Man.
Fennec is asking, where did you get that hat? I know multiple humans who need one. I think this one was sent to me. I don't remember. So the thing about my hats is because I have ADHD, I often lose them. So like there have been a fair few that like we moved and it's like, oh yeah, this hat, I remember that. So this is one of those.
I don't have hats because I'm insecure about balding, and I know if I have a hat, then I'll wear it because I'm insecure about balding.
Oh, see, I have sensory issues, so I actually fucking hate hats.
And that's why you have so many of them.
That is why I have so many of them. Yep. The things I do for stream.
Something Fishy says by that logic, butch lesbians are the most masculine because they don't think about the masculinity of men at all.
Mm-hmm. Sure. I can see that.
But they're also gay.
They are. There you go. So it tracks. Brian Holdsworth is correct. You heard it from Cirrus. Oh, okay. Oh, Supreme Court of Canada posted on Twitter. It says, Dear subscribers, moving forward, we will be focusing our communication efforts on other platforms. We invite you to follow us on our LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube accounts to continue receiving our updates. Thank you for your support. So Supreme Court of Canada is now ditching Twitter.
So, no Blue Sky?
No Blue Sky, unfortunately.
Throws phone on the ground?
Well, I mean, to be fair, as much as I respect that they're doing this, finding out about this was literally how I found out that they had a Twitter account in the first place. So, I love that they're doing it. Not sure that I care all that much. I just thought it was funny. And the replies to this were just full of people being like, oh, you are refusing to provide the Canadian citizens with the information they need. And it's like, no, man, like if you're going to Twitter for your Supreme Court of Canada news, then you're going to the wrong place.
Yeah,
like,
just get off fucking Twitter.
They have a website. You could you can look up the cases they're looking at anytime you want. You don't need to wait for them to post shit on Twitter. Also, as long as we're talking about them, it would be remiss if I didn't mention that they dress like Santa. Have you seen Canadian Supreme Court justices?
No, I haven't.
Oh.
King Cuddle YouTube, thank you very much for the follow.
Images.
D's really is my last name. Thank you for resubscribing.
Is your first name Nuts?
Get it? Because that sounds like you're saying these testicles, everybody. And it's funny to say these testicles. In fact, I like saying these testicles all the time. Wieners. Sylvie says, clip that, clip that.
Yeah. I'm trying to resize my SCOTUS. No, it's not SCOTUS. It's
Scrotus?
SCOCA. That's the Supreme Court of Canada. They're dressed like little Santas.
Huh. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. They
Merry
abandoned
Christmas.
Twitter. Santa has left Twitter. Fennec says they're adorable. Yep, that they are. Dinesh D'Souza says, if anybody tries to make you feel guilty about the government employees losing their jobs, show them this clip of Jen Psaki in 2021 telling oil pipeline workers to go get green jobs. Couple comments here. There was a clip of the back and forth that she had with her reporter. Couple things here. First off, the press secretary wasn't someone who lost their job in Elon's cuts. It was like the people responsible for like making sure your national parks are taken care of and like administrating, like the administrators of like Medicare, Medicaid, the VA lost a bunch of employees. Like everyday working folk that are just making sure that the government, which is a service provider, is providing services. It's like ultimately that is what the government is. It's a service provider. It is not a business. It does not need to make a profit. They don't need to be 100% efficient in what. So like, actually, I'm gonna take it back a little bit. Like with regards to efficiency, it seems to be just a given that everybody accepts that if you give the same job to either a government or a private company, the private company will do that job more efficiently. Always, 100% of the time.
They cut corners more often.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of getting at, is that like they won't necessarily do, like they won't do it more efficiently. They will just maximize their profits while they're doing it, which to a businessman, that might seem like, oh, that's the efficient way to do it, is to maximize profit. But no, the efficient way to do it is to do the job properly, as quickly as possible. So like, for instance, look at something like pollution. A private company, if they're not being regulated, they are just going to pollute the shit out of whatever environment they're working in. Yeah. So you put regulations on, now they have to behave differently or whatever. Whereas like a government company, they have to like, they're working on, like they're a service provider on behalf of their constituents or whatever. So they have to think, oh, if I build a factory here, not that the government runs factories necessarily, but like, if I'm going to subsidize farmers, I'm not going to subsidize the ones that are polluting the water of the people that vote for me. Sort of thing. Like that's the idea. Obviously that's not how it works out. Like these are way oversimplified examples. But like the most profitable way to do something is not the best way to do something. In fact, a lot of times, as like we're seeing with climate change, it is the worst way to do it. This is like a lot of the time people are talking about how green energy is so much more expensive. It's expensive to go green. It'd be a hit to the economy because the companies wouldn't be able to afford to like do the necessary changes or whatever. But that's only because we allow them to externalize the costs associated with climate change. If we said, hey, if you are emitting this much carbon into the atmosphere, you have to contribute this much to the healthcare system to pay for the people who need to go to the doctor because of the effects of the pollution, then suddenly it's way more profitable to do things cleanly.
Yeah, because otherwise there's fines associated with it that are really hard to absorb. But even then, to give just a tiny bit of pushback, there are often companies that are willing to just take the fine on the nose because the fine on the nose is
it's a slap
less
on the wrist.
Expensive.
Yeah. But not even that, like, that's why I'm saying, like, Fennec saying, make companies responsible for their waste. Yes, but at the same time, like, one of the biggest like one of the biggest contributors to the cost associated with climate change is people that are going to need to go to the doctor for pollution related things. It's not even really climate related. It's just I live in a coal mining town and I breathe the bad air and drink the bad water. So if if we went green, the savings on the healthcare system alone would more than offset the cost of going green by significant amounts. Like, I forget that there have been studies done into this. I forget the exact numbers. It's been a while since I've read them, but like, just looking at the healthcare costs, if you don't allow companies to externalize those costs and you make them pay for it, it becomes much cheaper for them to actually do things cleanly and properly. So like, that is the way the government is supposed to work. It's supposed to impose barriers to doing things efficiently for the sake of making a profit at the expense of people's well-being. The government provides the service of making sure the well-being is taken care of along the way. That's what they're supposed to do. So the idea that the government will always do things worse is just like, no, that's just not true. They're not supposed to do things profitably. They're supposed to do things to serve their constituents. But also, if you actually watch the clip that he posted with this, which I didn't download it because it's kind of long and boring, but like, she doesn't tell oil pipeline workers to go get green jobs. She was asked, like, hey, when the Keystone Pipeline was canceled, a bunch of people lost their job. Is there a job available for them now? And so her answer to that was, it was a political answer, yes, but it was like very much like in Biden's, what was it, the budget that he passed that had the all the climate change stuff in it. I forget what it was called, but like that thing that he passed, it had like the amount of it was an infrastructure bill or whatever, but the amount of infrastructure that was in green fields or whatever was more than enough to make up for those that were lost due to oil pipelines. Yeah, it's true that like someone working on an oil pipeline can't necessarily transition immediately to like installing solar panels. Those are two different skill sets. But no, it wasn't the Green New Deal. That was
Green New Deal is like way old.
Yeah, I mean, he did take some ideas from the Green New Deal, but not as many as he should have, if I'm honest. But yeah, no, it was. So basically, it was like, yeah, no, the jobs have been lost here, but they have been made up for over here. Like, that was the answer. It wasn't, if you lost your job, go get a green job. Like, that's not what she said, even though that's what he says she said. And yeah, offering training into green industries would be what I suggest. And I think there was some budget for that.
Genie says, was it Build Back Better?
No, that was just his slogan. I forget what it was called. Inflation Reduction Act. That's the one. Thank you. Also known as the IRA. Let's get the bombs out.
Sounds spooky.
Do you not know what the IRA was?
Offhand, no.
It's do you know the drink that you can order at a bar called the Irish Car Bomb?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, the I in IRA stands for Irish, and they might be the reason why that drink is called what it is. It's the Irish Republican Army.
Oh, okay.
This is back in the 80s, like U2 song Bloody Sunday about violence.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, this is fun. So Ryan Peterson says, why is this plane not flying in a straight line? With a flight going from San Francisco to Houston, to which Elon Musk replies, it should be. Because he doesn't know that the Earth is a globe, apparently.
I guess. He's kind of an idiot.
Yeah. I mean, there's also, like, weather patterns that they have to, like, there's a whole mountain range here that it has to get around. So, like,
trying to dodge a cloud.
Or dodge a mountain. Like, yeah, you can go over the mountains, but, like, the mountains impact how the air flows. So, like, if you're looking for the faster moving air to help you go to your destination faster or whatever, you might go off track a little bit. So, like, it's a combination of the Earth is a sphere and weather. And, like, he just doesn't, he's like, no, it should be going straight.
It could be going straight if you're not looking at it on a topographical map.
The guy in charge of launching fucking satellites into space is flirting with flat eartherism.
And this reminds me of when Aaron Ra had a flat Earth debate where he just sat the guy down effectively and said, okay, here is a flight log. Here is what you describe as an impossible flight.
Was that the one that goes nonstop from South America to Australia?
I don't remember which one it was,
South
how
America
long
to
it was.
Africa or something. I don't. I forget which one it is, but was literally playing Where the Streets Have No Name on guitar as Rhino mentioned Sunday Bloody Sunday. Okay. Elon Musk again says, if any judge anywhere can block every presidential order everywhere, we do not have a democracy. We have a tyranny of the judiciary.
No. Yes, the fuck we do. We have a democracy because that is a checks and balance, Mr. Dumb fuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So tyranny would be when a president can just do whatever the fuck he wants without judicial review.
Yeah, no, like you need judicial review, you need congressional approval. This is why the president can veto bills that Congress puts forward. This is why the president is able to do what he can do in regards to the justice system. This is why the justice system is able to veto shit that the president does. And this is why Congress can overrule shit that the president tries to put forward. There is a reason all of that is theoretically available. Obviously, the powers of Congress and the powers of the courts have been waning over time, but that stuff exists solely so that we actually have a series of checks and balances. In theory.
In theory. But if nobody sues, or if they sue and get a Trump-appointed judge...
Yeah.
All right. Oh, yeah. So Family Policy Alliance posted this video. I saved this video, so we can listen to that.
Follow the science they tell us in everything, except when it comes to life. Science tells us life begins at conception. Follow the science.
What? When? How? When? What? How?
So here's my thing. Oh, apparently that one was echoey. Let me try that again. Oop. Do you need me to try it again, or did you hear what he said?
I heard it just fine.
Yeah, no, wrong button. I know you did, but they were hearing double.
Follow the science. When it comes to life, science tells us life begins at conception. Follow the science.
Yeah, basically it just says follow the science. Science says life begins at conception. And yeah, so there's a couple things here. Is that from the perspective of the cell is technically alive, yes, life is present at conception, but it actually begins before conception because your goddamn sperm and egg cells are alive. So life begins at the formation of the sperm and egg cells.
Life begins at the moment that I scrape it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what science says. And science also says that the brain doesn't even begin developing the parts that are capable of containing a consciousness until the third trimester. So like first 2 trimesters, there ain't no consciousness there. It's a cum-drenched egg that is growing. And so yeah, like now when they say life, what they mean is when like I could see the argument from it is a unique human life in that like it now has its own DNA. It's got a genome that is distinct from its parents. But like that's not how we define life. That's just DNA. And
yeah,
like
that's just a thing.
But like
that's just a thing.
Like it's an information containing molecule. That's all it is. Like until the brain is there, there's no consciousness there. And like arguably, like this is there. I might get in some trouble for this one, but the parts of the brain responsible for consciousness don't actually like finish developing until well after the kid is born. So, you know, technically speaking, if you're arguing from a brain development point of view, you could say that abortion's fine up until like maybe a year old, but like Nobody actually says that. And I am not advocating for that here, just to be clear.
Yeah, no, we don't talk about actual baby murder. We talk about hypothetical baby murder, like the 300 million that I shot off before going to bed last night.
I mean, I've been snipped, so they just form and then are reabsorbed.
Your body is metabolizing children. They're right. The left eats babies.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, so it's oh yeah, here we go. Bragwin says, some tumors have unique DNA. Yeah. And it's human DNA too. So then Duct Tape Jake says, what about the soul? That's what they actually mean when they say life begins. They think the soul shows up there, except science doesn't say anything about that. So they have to pretend like it's like, oh, unique DNA means there is a soul. Okay. That's not science, though. That's just a baseless claim. You can't, like, until you prove that a soul even exists in the first place, you can't say that it arrives at the same time as the DNA is differentiated. So, yeah, no. If we go with the science, it's about the brain. And the time when 98% of abortions happen, there ain't no brain there. It's fine. And at risk of offending Fennec again, it's a cum-drenched egg.
Yay, cum-drenched eggs.
Okay, so Bragwin saying the Bible literally says that the soul enters the body with the first breath, and Fennec is asking what verse.
It's a little iffy on whether that's the actual interpretation you can pull from it.
So I actually did a bit of a deep dive on the Jewish views of abortion recently. So the Bible doesn't actually say the soul enters the body at first breath.
Yeah, it just
that is an
God
interpretation of the
of
like when God breathed into Adam's nose the breath of life. It is taken, like, by some sects of Judaism, it is taken to mean that is when the soul enters the body at the breath of life. There is a part in the Bible where like the fine is like, there's a monetary fine, and it's a different monetary fine for if you kill like if you cause a woman to miscarry, it's a different monetary fine than if you like actually kill someone or whatever. Like, it is a monetary fine instead of you are stoned or whatever. I forget the specifics, but basically, like, the Bible has a value for a fetus, and it is less than the value of a full-blown human being. There's also the passage in Numbers that describes the test for an unfaithful wife, which if she has cheated on her husband and become pregnant by another man, the result of that test will be an abortion that is performed by God as part of this ritual. Yep. So the Bible contains instructions on how to perform an abortion in a very specific scenario. It has a different value for a fetus than for a actual person. And then there's also, in different sects of Judaism, there's actually disagreement about when the soul enters the body. There are some people that believe it's at conception. There's another group that believe it's 40 days after conception. There's another group that believe it happens at birth. There's another thought, or I'm saying group as if these are distinct people. It's like, the word is escaping me. I'm sick. I can't think properly. But there's another...
Like a sect?
No, it's not sect. Is it like...
Or is it just like a school of thought?
School of thought. There we go. There's another school of thought that the soul doesn't enter your body until the bar and bat mitzvah. Then there's a whole nother category where we have two different kinds of soul. There's the animal soul, which is just what distinguishes live meat from dead meat. And then there's the intellectual soul. That is how you connect with God. That is the you are a person soul. And so there are people like, oh, well, the animal soul enters at conception, but the intellectual soul enters at 40 days after. And like all those same divisions, there's like same thing happens. So like when you're born, that's when you get the animal soul, but then you get the rest of your soul when you have your bar or bat mitzvah, or like you can mix and match it or whatever. So like it is not a clear cut, the Bible says no abortion. And like you'll notice they like Christians always go to the Old Testament for it. So this is why I feel like appealing to Jewish tradition is warranted, because like their whole thing is arguing about the meaning of the text. Like in Judaism, if you cannot find a new interpretation for a text, that text is considered dead. So you are supposed to be hunting through the text to find new meanings for things. And so the fact that there are these different schools of thought that have survived over the years is basically comes down to, like, there is no clear answer. It can mean different things depending on how you interpret the both the Bible and some of the Midrash and other stuff. So yeah, basically all this to say that the Bible doesn't actually have a firm stance on abortion. And if you want to impose a stance on abortion on it, the test for an unfaithful wife basically says pro, at least in one very specific scenario.
Yeah, it's the closest you're able to get to an actual stance there. But the breath of life one, I tend to come down on, only because I used to use that one a lot myself as an argument, and I got corrected by people who knew the verse better than I did. The last thing that I want, especially if you're trying to be like an atheist advocate, is for you to fall into the same trap that I did with it. That's never a fun thing when the person who's being a bigot is the correct one in the conversation. That's never fun.
Okay, so I'm going to so I did a response video to a channel, I forget what it was called. It was a fairly small channel. Guy looked like Jesus. But he did a response to my response video, which I'm just going to leave it alone. Because like most of my response would just be to reiterate things that I said in that video that he cut out of it. Because that's how they roll or whatever. But there was a segment on abortion. This was actually the one that I did all this research for, or whatever. And at one point, I acknowledged that, like, you know what? If you are actually correct that the soul enters the body at conception, and you believe that abortion is murder as a result of that, like a fertilized egg is a full-blown human, if you are honest about that belief, if that is honestly your belief, that is a difficult position to argue against. If you are correct, then yes, abortion should be illegal. I do not think you are correct. Here's a bunch of reasons why I don't think you're correct. There's still healthcare reasons where, like, again, to take it back to the Jewish tradition, in every single one of those traditions, like there are some that are more liberal with abortion and some that are more conservative, but the most conservative position is the health of the mother comes first. And that includes mental and emotional health. So, like, if they're not basically the safest option with that is that abortion should be between a woman and her healthcare provider. And there shouldn't be any laws about it. Or like there shouldn't be restrictions on it. But yeah, so he cut all of that out, including like all of the health effects that are like, I had studies coming up and be like, treatment for this, abortion, treatment for that, abortion, treatment for this, abortion. And if you don't, you could die or whatever. And he just dismissed all of that and skipped right past it just by being like, yeah, well, and then he listed some things for which he thinks abortion is the treatment.
So he does his entire thing by just being dishonest. At that point, you just kind of...
So I almost want to, like, if he structured his video the way he did on purpose, he's a genius. He is a comedic genius, because every single thing he accused me of doing in that video, he was doing. Immediately did the thing. He complained that I cut things out of his video, and then he cut a bunch of stuff out of my video. He complained that I didn't cite my sources for something, and he didn't cite his sources for anything. He he had like one source, and it was like Frank Turek's book that he called scholarly. And he tried to go to the original. It was hilarious. He tried to go to the original study that Frank referenced for. It was with regards to trans people. Is that whole they're 20 times more likely to commit suicide than non-trans people, which of course, if you actually read the study, it's like, but only on people that received gender affirming surgery before 1989. After that, it was about equal. But they always ignore that second part and are just like, 20 times more likely to commit suicide. And he clearly got it from Frank, because he was going through it exactly the same way Frank does, but he tried to make it look like he got it from the study itself, except the study's behind a paywall and he doesn't know how to get around that. So like he put a screenshot up of a graph from the study that did not show anything even remotely relevant to what he was talking about, but because that is the only graph that you can see without getting past the paywall. And it was hilarious.
That's comedy gold, honestly.
Yeah, it was fun, but yeah. Anyway, next tweet. Jack Poso says, did anyone else notice how during the debates last year you could sort of tell what Trump was going to say right before he said it? It's like, so for the most part, I'm going to say, yeah, that's because he's predictable as fuck. Because he only has a couple of talking points that he harps on repeatedly. However, I will say, I did not see they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats coming.
Remember, if I have to lie to get you to believe me, then that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
If I have to lie to get people to listen to me...
Well, that was Vance.
I know that was Vance, but
we're talking about Trump.
He speaks as much as a representative for Trump as he does for himself. That is part and parcel to being the vice president.
Yeah, but also I found so later on I think he was just joking with this. He wasn't actually trying to say that like, oh, he's so powerful. Because there was an excerpt from, I don't know whether it was a book or news article, but like someone that apparently was involved in the Trump debate preparation sessions. They said that at one point he was just like, I don't need to do this. I don't need these questions. I have the best thoughts. I have the greatest thoughts. And so I can just like, you'll just know what I'm thinking by me thinking it. I don't have to. And so then they just sat there in stony silence for like half an hour. I don't know how true that is, but like, this is the guy that suggested bombing a hurricane. This is the guy that suggested injecting bleach to cure COVID.
Not bombing a hurricane. Nuking a hurricane. Because
to be fair, that one also has a somewhat dubious source, but like he was on camera saying you should inject bleach, or we want to test injecting bleach to get rid of COVID, or just shoving lights up your ass. Obviously not in those exact words, but like that's what he was getting at. And like then there's the whole Sharpie thing where it's like, oh, I said that the hurricane was going to go here, but the weather report doesn't agree with me, so I'm just going to Sharpie it out because I can't be wrong. So it's like, he's a fucking idiot. He thought that passing that cognitive test that like is complete, like there is no grade on it. It's just pass fail, and if you fail, you probably have dementia. And he like thinks that him passing that test means that he got the best grade ever. They say that nobody's ever done as good as I have, and you know I've got the best cognitive shape anyone's ever seen. You're like, I can remember 5 words like woman, man, person, camera, TV. He's like clearly just listing things he can say because he can't actually think of 5 words. Oh man, he's such a fucking idiot. So like, yeah, it's entirely believable that he thought that he could like force his thoughts into other people's heads through sheer willpower.
Unfortunately, for the people that are his constituents, he does have enough charisma and he does know how to say the things that they want him to say, that there is a layer of truth to the you'll know what I'm going to say.
Are you looking forward to the pounding Trump shower again?
But no, what I hate is that there is a layer of truth to his constituents knowing what he's going to say, because that layer of truth is he's going to say what will make them like him more, whatever that thing happens to be. And he's been doing it for fucking years.
Yeah, that comes back to the earlier thing where he didn't used to be anti-trans. He was like, I wouldn't say he was like an ally by any stretch of the imagination, but like, wasn't it his beauty pageant where like had the first trans woman win?
I don't remember because I never paid attention.
I think that's what it was. Like, and he actually like was promoting that, like he was using that as promotion material back then. And I think this was like 2014, so this is not like years and years and years before he ran for president. I might be wrong on that. Double check that. Don't just believe me for what I'm saying. But like, it wasn't until it became politically advantageous for him to hate trans people that he started hating trans people.
Right, because for all the things that he is a politician above all else. Mm-hmm. Because a politician is somebody who says what they need to say in order to make it seem like they are serving their constituents in order to get re-election. A politician is, by definition, just somebody who is doing what they can to win a popularity contest because that is their job. Now, granted, that is not to diminish how good the good that politicians can do for society. There's lots of good that people like AOC and Bernie Sanders have done to make shit not horrible for their constituents. Raphael Warnock's been doing a lot of good work over here. But at the end of the day, there is a reason why there are memes upon memes upon memes about there being no difference between a politician and a liar.
Okay, so starting in 2012, he repeatedly celebrated the transgender woman named Jenna Talikova for participating in a Canadian pageant. He praised the winner of the Miss USA pageant for saying that transgender women should be allowed to compete. He ended the ban on transgender participants in the Miss Universe pageant that he owned. Yeah, so like, I wouldn't say he was an ally by any stretch of the imagination, because an actual ally wouldn't turn around and throw trans people under the bus when it became advantageous for them. Looking at you, Target. But he was not anti-trans. He thought it was good for business to be pro-trans.
Yeah, rainbow capitalism is rainbow capitalism.
Mm-hmm. Again, looking at you, Target. So, yeah, if you want any clearer of a demonstration that he doesn't actually, like, I don't think he has any beliefs. He's just a blank slate saying what he thinks will be best for him.
Whatever that happens to be at the time.
Yeah. Oh, Sean McDowell. I felt a little bit sad for him here. He says, question for atheists. I'm making a YouTube video and hoping 100 atheists will respond to this question. Is there anything about the world that gives you pause and makes you think there might be a God? Please forward this to atheists who can help. It's got one response. And like, I mean, granted, it was just posted today, only a few hours ago, so it might get more, but it still made me a little bit sad.
The atheists don't want to talk to you, Sean.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I could think of, like, so as many videos as I have talking about, is that response a no? I actually don't know what the response was, because it did that Twitter thing where, like, when I clicked on the tweet to see what the responses were, it just, no, I clicked on it to see whether, but the response wasn't visible. It's like, I don't know why that happens, but that happens sometimes. I've noticed it a lot. It might be someone that blocked me. It might be someone that I blocked. It might be someone that... no, because then you'd see the thing saying like, oh, you blocked this account. Do you want to see it? Yes or no? So it might be someone who blocked me. I don't know. Might be a response that used the word cis and so is hidden from users. I don't know. But yeah, so if there's anything that makes me think there might be a God, it would be the origin of the universe. But that is based 100% in my not having a fucking clue how that works. Like, I've explained various cosmological models on my channel. I don't understand any of them. I'm just repeating things that other people say. That's why I have sources pop up when I say it. But like, that's just an argument from ignorance. And that's not a reason to actually believe in anything. How about you, Cyrus?
I'm gonna be honest, my biggest issue is that I would have to see something, and there would need to be a greater chance that thing is because of a god specifically, that it couldn't be explained by something else just as well, if not better. So there's not really a whole lot of stuff that I can think of that actually gives me pause to think that there might be a God.
Yeah. No, like I said, it's Naramdaputs, how beginning work? I don't know, therefore God. Yeah, that's the argument. That is the cosmological argument in a nutshell. And that's why, like, yeah, I get the appeal of it, because, like, I want there to be an explanation, and I want to be able to understand that explanation. But I am not a theoretical physicist. So, like, no matter how many articles I read about it, no matter how many papers I read about it, I am not going to understand any of the cosmological models. And so I can see the appeal of, like, a simple answer that I can understand. But my not understanding the answers that we do have does not mean that the one that I can understand is actually a valid contender. And given the fact that the people that do understand these cosmological models don't seem to be proposing the idea of a god at any point in any of their models, suggests to me that there is no reason to think that a god was involved.
Yeah, the biggest problem when you're looking at things like, hey, what's the likelihood that life could have come up, as an example, because, like, that's one that a lot of people tend to point to for why God definitely exists.
Yeah, but see, the abiogenesis is like that again. That's like, there's a bunch of unanswered questions. Science doesn't have all the answers here, but, like, we know that there are self-replicating molecules. We know that self-replicating molecules can arise spontaneously in the right circumstances. We know that, like we know enough about how life would have had to have started, that, like, the idea that it was a god rather than just chemicals working in ways that we know that chemicals work, it's like that one doesn't hold water for me, unlike the cell membrane.
What I was going to say is my issue with the how unlikely is it that this happened is that I play games like D&D, I play games like World of Warcraft, I play games that I play Magic the Gathering. All games that have some form of mechanic that requires chance-based things. Mm-hmm. And unlikely things happen
all the
time. Every hand you draw in any given deck of cards, whether it be a Magic deck or, like, an actual regular set of 52 playing cards, any hand you draw is a statistically unlikely hand.
Mm-hmm.
But the hand you draw happened.
Mm-hmm.
It is nonetheless the hand you have. And because it's nonetheless the hand you have, I can't say that it's any more or less special than the others, unless we are playing a game where that particular hand matters for some reason. Having a royal flush available in your hand only matters if you happen to be playing a game where a royal flush is important. Otherwise, it is as statistically significant as any other hand you possibly could do.
I have on many occasions been playing Go Fish with the kids and drew a hand and was like, this hand would be killer if I was playing poker.
Yeah, if I was playing a different game entirely, then this hand certainly has more merit than what it has right now. Or, like, I don't have to go further into that particular analogy. It's literally just it's pointing out that we assign value to our current circumstance entirely post hoc. We assign all that value after the fact.
And I do like that analogy, but then there's also the fact that, like, what are the odds that life would happen? They're astronomical. Guess what the odds are? Like, guess how many planets there are in the universe?
An astronomical
number. Guess how many of those are life-supporting? Not life-supporting. In the habitable zone. Also an astronomical number.
Yeah, there's a lot of planets in various Goldilocks zones. Like, we know that we can see some of them, and some of them look really fucking Earth-like. The ones that we can actually see.
What's really funny about that is that occasionally you'll get an apologist who, like, they will acknowledge that we find exoplanets and that some of them look like they might potentially be habitable, like they're in the right zone or whatever, but then they'll talk about how like, oh yeah, but all the exoplanets we're finding are like the really big ones that like the gravity would be crushing and wouldn't, like life wouldn't be possible on.
Would be crushing for us.
Okay, well, you know, just set that aside and say like, okay, life as we know it is the only life that's possible. Let's just grant that as a premise.
Yes, we're only working with carbon-based.
Yeah, so let's just grant that as a premise. It's a stupid premise, but let's just pretend. But like, we're looking for planets around objects that are so far away that like it can be hundreds of times the size of our sun, and yet it looks like just a little tiny pinprick of light. Which ones do you think we're gonna find first? The biggest ones, obviously. So like, of course the ones that we found are going to be bigger. We are statistically more likely to find those ones, but also like, I forget the paper, but I think like within 100 light year circumference of Earth, we found something like 40 planets in their stars' habitable zones. And so like from that, it has been determined that like probably most stars have a planet in their habitable zone. Now, is it an Earth-like planet? Is it a super Jupiter? Could be either. Actually, the way solar systems form, it is more likely that the big gas giants would migrate in towards the center of the solar system and knock any of the smaller planets out of the habitable zone. So, like, that is another point against life. However, clearly it's possible for that not to happen because we live in a solar system where that did not happen, and the universe is a goddamn big place. So...
And
the odds that it's the anthropic principle. The odds that we are unique in the universe is just astronomically low. Isn't there an equation to figure out how many planets have life? Yeah, it's the, what's it called? Not the Fermi paradox.
Yeah, Fermi paradox is why life hasn't visited us.
Yeah. God damn it. Drake equation, that's the one. That's not so much an equation as a thought experiment. Because, like, for that, it's like, assume there are X number of stars with a planet in their habitable zone, and assume that X number of those stars, those planets are Earth-like, and assume that, like, so, like, it's all of these...
Oh, I thought the Drake equation was a way to figure out how to get your career back after getting eviscerated at the Super Bowl.
So my partner introduced me to Schitt's Creek. Have you seen Schitt's Creek?
I have not seen Schitt's Creek. I have not seen Schitt's Creek. Creek. God, I suck at this.
There's an episode near the beginning where like so the background story is this rich family whose business manager embezzled a bunch of money and ran off to another country, and they repossessed all of their possession, like all of their stuff. But then they're like, oh, but the government decided to allow you to have this one thing that you bought, and this one thing was a town called Schitt's Creek. And
okay.
Yeah, so they go live there, and so it's like, I used to be rich and famous, and now I'm living in squalor. And
but you own a town.
Yeah, but it's a hick town, and they have to stay in the motel or whatever. I don't know the logistics. I haven't watched enough of it yet. But like,
you own a town.
One of the episodes is like the daughter's boyfriend was supposed to like rescue her from that and take her back to the high life or whatever, and she was going to go live with him. But like, he canceled on her so that he could go to one of Diddy's white parties. And like, that joke hits different now. That joke hits a little different in this day and age. Like, both my partner and I just like look at each other and we're like, oh yeah, she dodged a bullet there.
Dating a pedo.
Yeah. Okay, next up. Ooh, that was the end.
That was the end.
That was the end.
We made pretty good time today, actually.
Yeah. That's on purpose.
Yeah?
Because I feel like
is it because
shit.
you're...
So
yeah, that's entirely fair.
Yeah, so even with the extra half a news item when I promised you one fewer news items than normal.
Jesus.
Okay. Are you still streaming after this?
I am still streaming after this.
Okay, I shall raid you.
Okay. I appreciate the raid, good sir.
Okay. I was going to press a button. I forget what button it was. No, I was going to have my finger over the end credits button so that I didn't have to look for it later. this kind of defeats that purpose. All right. Anyway, have a good night, everyone. As always, fuck off.